watching Shrill. This is something I didn't expect myself to watch. I kind of had this apprehension just because I just wasn't sure. Looking at it, I'm like, I just don't know if I want to see another modern show about a young woman trying to navigate troubles. It just feels repetitive. We've had stuff like Sex in the City, we had stuff like Girls, and now we have Shrill, which, now that I think about it, a lot of stuff just kind of derived from Sex in the City. And we've had this long stint for about 22 years now with doing sexual revolution for certain female characters and empowerment of doing something different and kind of making women a bit more relatable but also flawed. That's a big thing. There's been an evolution of these characters, but after about 4 episodes of watching Shrill, I think Shrill's doing a better job than Girls. Now, I do have to go on to say, I love Girls. I love that show so much. I love it even though the fact that it's literally Lena Dunham's absolute mess masterpiece that has more messes than masterpieces within the show. But it did make something evolutionizing. It was a continuation off of Sex in the City-ish. I'll get into that later on. But Girls was so mean-spirited. I love that show, but it's so hard to watch. If anything, I watch that show as a reminder to not be a writer like Hannah. But there's something about Shrill that just seems a bit more comfortable, which is weird because a lot of stuff coming out is usually cringe comedy. Anything that comes out that takes a snag at raw realism will punch you in the gut so hard that you wouldn't have any stool softener to help you out. When I watch Girls, my face almost freezes from the cringe that I see. But when I watch Shrill, I feel better. When I first started watching the first 2 minutes, I did nothing but just compare that show, but compare Shrill to Girls. Seriously, let's break it down within the first couple of minutes. Okay, it opens up. Awkward girl. That's Hannah. We go in the fact that she has a job. She's a writer. That's Hannah. She has a really weird boss. That's also like in Girls. Oh, wait. Oh my god. That's the guy who was the editor on Girls. So it gets a little weird with how much it's like Girls within the first couple of minutes. And then the icing on the cake, she has a weird sex life with a guy that doesn't wear a shirt. And he doesn't respect her. And he doesn't want to do anything with her. And he doesn't wear a shirt. That's Adam. To a T, that is Adam. So I'm sitting here like, am I sure this isn't like copy-paste Girls from here? And what's weird is I don't feel it's taking exactly every little bit from Girls. Like, it's actually not. Because a lot of the people from this show were on Girls. In fact, if you even saw the last season of Girls, the girl that Ray ends up with, that's Abigail. And now she plays Annie. Oh, that's not too far away now thinking about that. That's kind of weird how much that's almost a common factor. I'm gonna laugh if Ray shows up in the show and being like, haven't you learned anything? With Shrill, it was enjoyable just to see characters that were normal, and if they were unlikable, they weren't severely unlikable. Annie's a very flawed character, but she owns up to what she does. And that's what makes her a better character than Hannah. I really hate to say it like that. I do. Even writing it in my article, I was like, ooh, that's a hard thing for me to say, because I do have a soft spot for Hannah, but it took too damn long for Hannah to mature. It took 7 fucking seasons for her to mature as an adult. I'm gonna make a little reference. It's gonna kill me to say this, but this is kind of a spot-on reference as to how the characters Hannah from Girls and Annie from Shrill can handle a situation. So I mentioned earlier about how the character Ryan is a lot like Adam. No, he is Adam. In the episode of Girls, at the end of insert episode number here because I fucking forget, she makes a promise to herself, like, you know what, Adam's not a great guy, and she goes over and she tells Adam that she doesn't want to be with him because she is not respected. And she says it with such a confidence and such a sophistication that she's standing up for herself, and that's amazing. But then Adam just pats her tummy or, grabs her by her dress or something, and then all of a sudden she's right back in his arms, and that whole speech was absolutely useless. Terrible. It took Hannah several steps back to getting respect for herself. Now look at Shrill. The episode that I finished up that I had to talk about immediately was in episode 3, Pencil, where Annie wanted Ryan to attend a work party with her because it is a +1 party, and she was looking forward to having him there. Now, one little side piece I have to go on for saying this, that there's a very bitchy character in there that was ragging on her for not having someone. Look at the facial expression on her face. It's moments like these, I love that show. It's a little touch of emotion. She could have said something severely bitchy or said something terrible and heartless, but she actually looks like she regrets the words she said. That was a pretty good thing. Those little niches. Okay, back on point. Anyway, and so she wants to go see why didn't Ryan show up, and he didn't go to her party because he had a pencil breaking party that he was doing, and so he forgot or he ignored. It's still up in the air. And then admits that he slept with other women. Also keep in mind in the episode of Girls, Adam also kind of inadvertently admitted he slept with other women. So Annie doesn't put up with that. Annie tells him, what the fuck am I doing here? Literally. And she leaves. And she doesn't contact him. But there is a moment where she thought about going. Now that is acceptable. I've done that, and I'm sure there's plenty other men, women, and non-binary babies out there that have also done that too, where they just, you want closure, you want answer, you don't want to give up on someone, you want to give the benefit of the doubt, but then Annie decides, I'm not doing it. She sees another girl just like her, confidence and all, with the weight and everything. I thought that was amazing. She got this moment of power. She never went back to Ryan. Of course, I do know that eventually he does come back to her, because I did happen to skip some episodes and read some stuff that Ryan comes back. But either way, that's a good moment. But the point I'm trying to make, that was resolved in one episode. With this whole thing between Hannah and Adam went on for the rest of the show. Closure doesn't really happen until season 7. Which, yes, I'll admit it went on an amazing note that Hannah and Adam never ended up together. Still, it took too long for that closure to happen for the maturity of these two characters. There's already a set maturity in Annie, which makes her a very likable character to look at. I want to learn more about Annie because I can take her seriously. She is a character that will accept the outcome of the situation and either just grow from it, or she adapts the situation. Not many people do that, and especially a lot of women in shows I feel are unfortunately written that they're just naive characters, or they're severely immature naive characters that refuse to take account for what they have done, or they counter the situation, or just know, okay, it's time to get the hell out of here. It's nice to see that in Annie. Not many characters are like that. If you see a character like Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, she doesn't really mature, and she does a lot of trapping for Mr. Big. And Hannah kind of does that too. There's a lot of stuff that she does for trapping. And in the very first episode, when Annie gets pregnant and has an abortion, she says, I did not want to trap you. Like, she thought about it, which, in all fairness, that is true. There's always going to be that weird little thought that comes in her head to think of the what if. But that was handled so well. Shrill does handle heavy topics in a simple way, not a severe way, not making fun of, but not talking too minorly about. It just has a good balance of neutrality to get the point across without having to go into cringe territory or severe extremes. Another thing I want to talk about, and I know I'm really hitting on girls pretty hard here, but Fran's a much better character than Marnie. With Fran, how she's introduced, it's an amazing character. She's sassy, she's very smart, she's very stern, she's supportive. She's someone you'd want in a friend. Look at the friends on Sex and the City. They're kind of cutthroat to each other. And in Girls, they all need a bit more of maturity going on. Fran has that perfect amount of being a little bit spontaneous, but also thinking of the realism, which God, I love friends like that. I have friends like that. So I'm like, thank you for the representation that this friend does exist in fiction. Because all you see are these friends. They're absolutely just levels of smashed asshole garbage. That's people that you would not want to have as a friend. It's nice to actually see someone represented that is actually a great friend. I know. I didn't think that was possible to have that in a show. And also to build on to my weird argument about how Annie is a better character than Hannah, on the writing spectrum, Annie's a bit more respectable as a journalist than as Hannah. Hannah, was kind of muddled for the first 3 seasons of watching Girls. At first, I admired the hell out of Hannah because she is a character that believes she is the voice of her generation. And she goes on to say that she wants to have an autobiography book, and she wants to share her experiences. But Hannah's a little desperate for experiences, and she doesn't think things through in terms of trying to be more professional as a writer. As someone who also wrote a book and is an article writer, I have to keep that back in my mind to not do what Hannah does, to not have that level of desperation to be a writer. Annie, on the other hand, is a very accomplished writer, but she's willing to work her way up to get where she needs to go. And when she does get an article published, she's very excited about it. She takes certain chances. She does accept for what she has to do to get there. And the fact that she says a journalist, not a writer. With Hannah, she just says writer. And she kind of gets a little hypocritical of others that say they're writers, when realistically, it is more of a dimensional field in terms of writing. I actually had a conversation about this a couple years ago with a friend of mine over coffee, where I discussed with her about the character Beck in the show You, where I was kind of the hypocrite in the situation, and I asked her, do you think Beck is a writer? When she said she's a poet. And my friend on to say, yeah, it's a form of writing, so she is a writer. And I went, okay. I had to definitely slap myself in the back of the head for being a fucking hypocrite. So there is extra forms of writing, and I've also gotten to know a lot of the people in my area that are writers, and so I've had to learn to sort of not be so shallow when it comes to other people that have a different take in the field of writing. No matter where you go, whatever impact you make, or what story you have to share, or thoughts and opinions you have, regardless of what exact occupation you want. So Hannah's a bit shallow. She's not that respectful to other authors, writers, or creators in general. She just spites other people to be like, yeah, but you're not. I've met people like that. It's literally like just having a rusty nail stabbed in your ears of having to listen to someone that is so antagonizing and insulting and rude about people do that. It's terrible. Okay, I do love Girls. I still watch this show. I love the hell out of it for what it's done, and it is a hell of an accomplishment for Lena Dunham to do a show that is very raw, but I feel like Shrill perfected it. Shrill took that concept and did something better with it. There wasn't such an uncomfortable amount of emphasis on something for so long, and it stretched stuff out like a rubber band that you're just waiting for it to snap, and it just kept happening. Every season was like, every episode was like the snap of a rubber band. It just got so awful just to go, damn, these people are suffering so much. Do they do anything about their mistakes and stuff? And a lot of the characters do just sort of accept the outcome of what happens or make their situations worse. In Shrill, they own up to their responsibilities for what they have to do or know what they must do. It's kind of it's like a fresh take of fiction. Like a fresh take of modern, relatable fiction. So I started this video talking about how I didn't want to watch Shrill, and then I'm going to end it with how it changed. The whole idea. At first, I was worried. Like I said, in the beginning of the video, I was so worried about watching the show, like, oh, here we go again. I don't know if I can take this. Because I do feel like writing women, it gets stale. I hate to say it like that, but a lot of the characters I see written just become very stale. Not only know how to write a modern woman that's going through troubles in her 20s and try to navigate through really adult situations. And I do feel like Shrill did a bit more of a mature and lax approach. But this was a very weird analysis to sort of compare this show to the others that have made their mark of how to really write women. And I thought, oh god, here we go again. We're going to have another woman that's going to be written off as some kind of a naive, selfish, hypocritical person that just thinks about what's in it for her and trying to get the things in life and doesn't have respect for other people. I thought, oh my god, are we going to go through this again? And I was wrong. I was happily proven wrong. It kind of ends my point as what I was talking about. Is Shrill better than girls? Not really. Every show has its messes. Every show has its flaws. They're all flawed characters. They're still enjoyable. There are just some things that have been perfected in a way. We're still evolutionizing in writing women for media. No matter what it is, in any kind of context, any type of show, there's still baby steps. So naturally, there's going to be a couple of misses as to why I say I'm still going to love the show Girls, besides all of its really weird moments that it has where it didn't really handle a particular situation that happens to most modern women. It still did something, and Shrill did something, and they're both equally good in terms of just something for someone to sit there and go, okay, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that happens to. It still gets that message across, and it still has the same end goal. So overall, they're pretty great to watch. Okay, you guys have been absolute troopers to watch this entire video about how Shrill has been taking better baby steps at presenting adulting better than Girls and all the other shows, so thank you so much for watching that. So now we've gone from me rambling about that show to rambling about myself. I'm so sorry, thank you for enduring. As I mentioned in the video, I did actually write a book. I surprisingly knew my ABDs and got a story together, and it's called Inglorious Ink. And if you want to learn more about that, I do have a channel called Paris Passages where I have the first 2 chapters available as my own little homemade audiobook that you guys can read and watch and listen there, as well as the other information about that book. There is also some other available outlets that you can see me at. I'm also updating on Instagram a lot, so you can catch up with me there. I'm the Insta spammer over there. And if you also want to see what I also do on TikTok, you can also find me there making little skits and just doing some little stuff, trying to get on with the ride of all the what those crazy kids are doing and blah blah blah. And you can find me at Instagram and TikTok under the same username as is my YouTube name, at The Mystical Space Witch. Thank you so much for watching. Here's a blooper. Get back. Oh shit, my balls. Whoa. Oh god. T just went on to this desk and you didn't see it, but it's terrible and I gotta get things. Shit. Towel on the floor, thank the gods. I am so glad I now. Phew! Well, I'll clean that up later. That's okay. Oh, right. Did anything get under here? Not really. Cool. Well, I will just have to clean that up later.